Our next talk will be very magical. Pun intended, by the way, and you get to find out why very soon. So give your best clapping emojis in the chat for our next speaker, Maricris, who is a developer advocate at Magic and will be presenting to us a talk titled "Gather More Meaningfully with Strapi and Magic."
Hi, everybody. My name is Maricris Bonzo. I am currently advocating for third-party developers at Magic. And I also consider myself a multi-passionate creative, which means I do lots of things on the side, like create content for Instagram and YouTube. And I'm also currently building a community in public called Blockchain Ladies Club. And fun fact, I love creating events and gatherings, but I wasn't really good at it, I realized after reading Priya Parker's book, The Art of Gathering. Well, I wasn't good at making them meaningful. Instead, I was focusing way too much on logistics part of an event rather than creating a unique experience for the attendees. So ever since then, I have been applying everything I've learned from Priya Parker into work meetings and also into my personal life. And now, thanks to Jamstack solutions like Strapi CMS and Magic SDK, I can now turn what I've learned from Priya Parker into something that I can actually use, which is a custom events page. So in my talk, I'm going to go over how I created this custom events page and also share some tips on how to gather more meaningfully. Okay, so this is a high-level view of the events page. We have a Next.js client that is communicating with Strapi, asking for data, and is being authenticated by Magic. So first thing we're going to do is build the Strapi backend. Strapi makes it really easy for us with this CLI command. So once we run it and we get our Strapi backend running, we're going to need to create an admin account. And then this is how the admin panel is going to look. And what we're going to do first is create our own content type. All right, so the content type we're building is events. And as you can see, here are the fields I've added to make up an event. And this is actually what we need to gather more meaningfully. So let's explain each of them real quick. Purpose. So the purpose of your event needs to be disputable. For example, if I am hosting a birthday party and my purpose is to celebrate my 28th birthday, that is too basic. It is indisputable. Instead, a good purpose would be to surround myself with people who bring out the best in me. So this way, I need to question, well, who deserves to be there and who doesn't. Next up is the invites list, and it should be purpose-driven. So for me, I'm gonna need to invite people who bring out the best in me. Up next is primer, and these are just the list of details that you need to send out to your attendees before the event to help them prepare for the event so that they can make the most out of it. Next up are rules, and this is fun because rules help you create a temporary alternative world because it sparks temporary behaviors that embody the purpose of the event. For example, for my birthday, I can make a rule, no phones and no alcohol, so that we can be present and enjoy each other's company in a more meaningful way. Last up is the venue, and you want your venue to embody the purpose of the event and also wake people up from the slumber of their daily routine. So for me, I can choose to have my birthday party at this deserted beach in Santa Cruz. And so it's just going to be me and the people who bring out the best of me and nice scenery to make us all feel happy. So that is all the fields that we've added to our content type events, and it is also what makes up a meaningful event. Now let's use these fields to add an event data. So I did that here, and I have published it. Okay, So last thing we need to do, which is important, is enable access to this event data. So we do that by going into the settings panel and go into roles and enable find one and find. All right, now that our events data is ready, let's test it out on Postman. As you can see, I am calling my events API. And I'm getting back a forbidden error, which makes sense because we haven't been authenticated to access this events data. So let's do that with Magic. So part 2 is going to show us how. First, we need to create an account with Magic and an app and get the test secret key. Next, we need to follow these list of steps to set up the Strapi plugin Magic. So here we have a plugin that we need to install. And then because we've installed that, we need to rebuild the Strapi backend and run the backend again. And once it boots up the Strapi CMS, you can go to the admin panel and see that the Magic plugin is now visible. So go ahead and paste in your test secret key in here. And last thing we need to do is extend Strapi's default permission policy. And all that means is we're going to create a new file called permissions.js under users permissions/config/policies. And this permissions.js file can be found in Strapi's GitHub repo. And we just copied it and made one tiny change here. We added a try catch block, which is just telling Strapi that once the Magic plugin has been triggered, we call the login with Magic to authenticate the user to access the events API. And that is all we need to do to set up the plugin. And now we need to test that plugin. And to do that, we need a client side. So let's build out the front end. This is going to be really easy because all you need to do is clone my repo. You're just going to need to go into your Magic dashboard and get your Magic test publishable key and also your secret key and paste that into the .env file. And now let's go over the major parts of the repo to understand how we are getting authenticated by Magic and how we're pulling data from our Strapi backend. So in the login page, we are importing the Magic SDK and also this function called getEventsData. From the Magic SDK, we get the login with Magic.link method, which we use to authenticate the user using their email address. And what this returns is a DID token, which pretty much proves that we have been authenticated. And we use that for two things in this file. The first one is for saving the user session in this API call. And the next one is getting the events data from Strapi. So let's see how this function looks like. All right, so this get events data is pretty straightforward. We're pretty much sending a request to our local Strapi backend URL, and we're passing in the DID token to prove that we've been authenticated to get that data, and we're returning that data. Now that we have that data, we can pass it into our events component, which is where we display all of the fields that we created earlier. And we do it in a visually appealing way using React Markdown. All right, so that's when the user logs in. When the user logs out, it's pretty easy. We're going to focus on this API call called logout. And in this file, we are calling Magic's method called logout by issuer, and we're passing in session.issuer. If you look into it, it's actually the DID token of the logged in user. So we are logging out by that DID token. And this logs the user out of all Magic SDK sessions that are open. And we're also calling remove token cookie to make sure that the user session has been removed from the cookies. All right, that is it for setting up the authentication part. Let's test this out. All right, so we are logging in with our email address, and then Magic sends an email to us to prove that we are who we say we are. And here we are. We were able to get the data from Strapi. Awesome. It works. All right, so that's it. I hope you were able to see how easy it was to integrate Strapi with Magic and also to create a custom events page that sparks meaningful events. If you're curious for more, here are all of the resources to my live demos, my repos, and how to deploy your project to production. And if you want to learn more about how to gather more meaningfully, I suggest reading these books. Okay, that is it for my talk. Thank you all so much for watching. And thank you to Team StrapiConf for supporting me throughout this entire journey. And I hope to give another talk at your next conference. All right, I'll catch all of you later. Bye.
That was really magical, yeah. I think that's exactly what we needed to get right back into things. And some very important things were mentioned. I think I'll be ordering the Art of Gathering now. So yeah, I hope you all will too.